How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout. Happy New Year. Hopefully 2019 is going to be good to you. And in this video, we are going to be discussing Cardano, everybody. I know this is a long-awaited video. First time we're going to be talking about Cardano in 2019, and I think a good note to start off on is going to be talking about computation and as well accounting. And I think that Cardano speaks for itself on this note, and I think that when we move forward, the global community is going to be having a very interesting conversation with cryptocurrency right at the center of it. And essentially 2019 is going to be a make or break, sink or swim sort of year, I would say, for cryptocurrency. So nice starting off the year with a lot of green. I suppose it's better than starting off with a lot of red, but of course we're going to be seeing a lot of volatility this year, kingdoms rise and fall and the like, and I think that it's going to be an interesting year. So well requested video here. Now I hope you guys enjoy it. Definitely a lot of things to talk about regarding Cardano. So let's get right down to it. I'm personally just going to put this out there for the betterment of my audience. I expect a pretty big crash coming. I think I'm not the only one here who thinks this, and I think things are going to get worse before they get better. And I think that it's going to be technologies like Cardano that'll have the opportunity to rise from the ashes. And this isn't going out on a limb, I don't think. I'm pretty sure this is pretty much overall, people can tell the amount of manipulation, but we're going to put all that to the side, save that topic for another video. Something that's entirely valid, which really separates Cardano from the herd of cryptocurrencies, is ultimately boils down to the innovations that Cardano has provided in terms of software engineering and essentially getting the best before they go 1 foot too far over the line, which I think happens all too often with a lot of these cryptos. Cardano really managing to use time to their advantage. I mean, you take how much preparation went into Cardano, even before September of 2017. It is an interesting boat essentially when we see how much actual innovation is being built right on the framework of the foundation, just so that we can expect to see smooth sailing from here on out. So I'm definitely excited to see what Cardano is going to make possible for us, especially 2019 and beyond. It's one of those cryptos that I think separates itself from the herd quite substantially, based on merits that are completely tangible. And when we look at the Cardano project as it's come to this part, I mean, hardware wallets getting under its belt now, more exchanges by the day essentially, and I think that in this video where it's going to be pretty exciting to discuss what we can expect to see from Cardano overall in the context of the developments that are happening in this space every single day. What separates Cardano from the herd is the fact that they're implementing these engineering techniques that we see that are used by like NASA and these big corporations, which really so much is riding on the code and all this different all these moving parts that have to always move together and stuff. So when we look at what Cardano actually aims to do, it's essentially what cryptocurrency was always meant to be. We look at essentially like the original, the Bitcoin, just sort of the exception to the rule. It's sort of just a stored value, and then from there, from this point on, I think it's like smart contracts and the evolution of what we can expect to see cryptos in their everyday performance. It's something that's actually a trademark, I think, of the maturity. The space is beginning to actually take that second look and wonder what these technologies are actually going to look like when they're active in the real world. And I think the steps that Cardano is taking, really with peer review and all these things, are should be the standard for what these how they go about their business. And I think that Cardano is really setting the standard for a lot of technologies that are going to have to compete. And I think that it's going to be very difficult to compete with Cardano once all these things are up and running off the board. So it's definitely been a really interesting ride with Cardano since September of 2017, where we first got introduced to Cardano. And of course now with the publishing of the proof of stake papers. I think that now Cardano is going to have an easier road now that those proof of stake papers are out there. I think the overall consensus, it could be more flat out evaluation of the community can get that sort of sense of the things that we can expect as far as where the technology is going to take us. And I'd see Charles Hoskinson as really a visionary when it comes to this technology. I think that ultimately it's going to take visionaries like that to really bring us forward as far as cryptocurrencies and going to have its place in the overall, when it meshes with the present day circumstances and all these things. And when we actually want to talk about physically, what are we going to see Cardano actually having its place in the overall context of these things. I know Cardano often it gets criticized for being sort of overly ambitious, and I don't think that it really can be overly ambitious when you consider the fact that the framework that a lot of these cryptos that are operating within it's almost entirely arbitrary when you think about it. The fact of the matter is that we're so early in this space that Cardano really posits a fundamental game changer that could really be making the difference across the board for a multitude of different aspects when you consider all the things that can be built on this foundation, which is being made possible. Now I understand the fact that Cardano is sort of on a deadline. We have to sort of wait and see. Hopefully, Cardano, as it comes into its own, it can sort of remain the only game in town. I think that the only realistic challenge that could happen would be something completely from left field. If some sort of ICO pretty much rose up that did the exact same thing that Cardano. But I think once we get up and running, which we're starting to see the rudiments of that taking off now. In particular, we saw the groundwork being laid all throughout 2018. 2019 represents pretty much what I see as the make it or break it moment, not only for one particular cryptocurrency, but I think that it's something that's being felt all the way across the community. And paying attention to all the different things that Cardano has in store for itself are, it's pretty interesting to see how the community has been developing thus far. Of course, Cardano hitting 70,000 subscribers on Reddit, which is a pretty interesting milestone. I mean, Reddit is a good resource, and the fact that Cardano's got the fundamental groundwork laid down, which is going to be pretty interesting, moving forward into the overall context of what we can be expecting as far as this technology's development. And I think that the fact that they've taken the strides forward to implement these soft forks, I think that that's going to be something that's going to pay off in the end, because we've seen before that hard forks can be pretty dramatic when the community splits up. But the fact of the matter is that Cardano, I think, has the foresight to learn from the mistakes that are made from other cryptocurrencies. And I think that that's all, the sort of transparency and all these things are what the community looks for in terms of where these things are going to be developing. Obviously, there's a long road ahead. It's just the beginning of the year. But I think that this was a good recap, just basically setting up the overall context for what we can expect. And overall, if you want my opinion, I would say that Cardano is probably one of the most interesting cryptos that I'm paying attention to this year, in particular with the market cap being where it is at 129 as it currently stands. And who knows where we're going to go from this point forward, but let's hope for good things. Am I right? Anything would be better than what we saw last year, I hope, unless it gets worse, but you never really know. I'm not going to try to make a prediction in this video, but anyways, if you guys are interested in more, you guys can connect with us on Twitter. That's at CryptoTuber, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this content. And of course, in the interest of basically transparency and all that, I'm gonna actually include a link to this great video right here, which is Charles Hoskinson, the year-in review for Cardano, and you'll want to hear it from the man himself. I mean, he goes into great detail, just giving his overall perspective and what we can expect to see. And I think we need need visionaries like this man right here moving forward, fresh off of his work on other projects and so forth. I think now we could really see this technology flexing its muscles in the time brewing up ahead, and most certainly in the long-term perspective. I think that technologies like Cardano, which posit a realistic survival instinct in the cryptocurrency space, because we talk about all the time on this channel the fact that at some point we're going to see a major purge of a dramatic amount of altcoins, which is probably going to leave your best friend's altcoin going to zero. And I think that it's going to be technologies that are already up and running like Cardano, which will inherit a lot of that value, which will probably be flooding from the thousands of other altcoins that are basically on the chopping block. And I think that it's going to be an interesting road ahead. A little bit of green across the board today, and interesting to see the top performers. It's always an interesting indication of what we can expect to see. But yeah, overall, I think this has been a good video. I think we've covered a lot of interesting points, and of course, make sure that if you guys watched all the way to the end, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and of course, comment down below letting us know what you think. What are your thoughts on Cardano ADA? Do you think that we're on the money when it comes to this, or do you think we can expect to see something other than that? But all that being said, after reading a lot of this technical jargon, and basically I was checking out the proof of stake papers, things are tending to I think trend towards it's almost predictable at this point, but it's entirely not at the same time, because there's so many different international variables, and different players at work here. It's kind of an anxiety inducing to watch these things, to say the least, unfolding right before our eyes. But it is history in the making. Cryptocurrency in and of itself is something that's pretty interesting to watch take off from the ground up, because it's going to mean so much in the future once all the players get the board is set, and then when the pieces finally start to move, I think Cardano will be among the cryptos that could probably boost itself up from that number 11 position. I think Cardano definitely, its rightful place is in the top 10, and it's going to be interesting to see how things develop from that point forward. But all that being said, obviously remember this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. Obviously this video is not advice. I'm not your dad, but yeah, my opinion on Cardano is pretty positive at this point, at least. And yeah, we'll be making further updates on this all throughout the year, so make sure that you stay tuned in. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next one. Have a good one. Stay relevant.